Hi, everyone. So, this is a sermon I made. I call it the Book of Jonah, a New Testament, Old Testament book. Okay. So, next slide is here are some themes to think about. James 2:19. Um, and this is where the author James writes, "You believe that there is one God. You do well. Even the demons believe and tremble." Right? And so some people are actually not as wise as even the demons. So, because they don't fear God. All right. The next one is not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So the first slide is the context of the book of Jonah and the intro of it. So basically, God told Jonah to preach to the city of Nineveh, which was the capital of the Assyrian Empire, that they should repent or else the city would be destroyed. Now, Assyria was like the world superpower at this time. Um, and they were really famous for like torturing people and just doing typical like conquering stuff, but like with an emphasis on torture. Um, so Jonah hears this and he tries to run far away. So he sets sail to Tarshish, which is actually near the gates of Hercules, which would be like between Morocco and Spain. So on the furthest part of the Mediterranean Sea, way far out west, that's 2,500 miles from the port that he was trying to leave. This is really far. And some people would say Tarshish is the British Isles. I don't know if that's true, but basically he was trying to get the heck out of there. So God sent a massive storm to waylay him on the way there, and the pagan sailors prayed to their gods to save them, right? And so in this, you'll see Dagon on each side, um, probably the god they prayed to. Jonah quickly realized what is going on and explained himself, but the sailors didn't want to throw him over um, at first. And then he really insisted, and the storm started getting really, really hairy. And so they reluctantly threw him over, and then the storm stopped immediately. And so they began to worship Yahweh, to begin to worship God. So slide two is pretty quick. Jonah prays to God as he dies, and he repents of his disobedience and asks God to save his life. Then God tells the fish to spit him out onto land. All right, so right here, I call this slide the Giga Jonah slide. So Jonah goes to Nineveh and begins preaching. Jonah tells Nineveh that unless they repent, God will destroy them. Um, and so everyone, all the way from the king to the cows, repents. They even put sackcloth and ash on the animals and all of the people. And so the whole city repents and God forgives them, right? And so here comes the next slide. Okay, slide 4 out of 5, I call Soy Jonah. So it says in Jonah that he got exceedingly displeased when they repented and God did not destroy the city, and very angry. And he begins to complain to God. And it's basically revealed to us why he fled from God. And it's not what most churches teach that he was scared to preach at Nineveh or anything like that. Actually, Jonah was not scared at all. It's nowhere in the book of Jonah that he was scared. Jonah actually just had a grudge or a bone to pick against the Assyrians, and he wanted God to destroy Nineveh, right? So he wanted to use God as like his personal nuclear bomb, right, to bring judgment on Nineveh. Um, and he did a good job of preaching because he wasn't scared, right? So he just went into the middle of the capital city or preached throughout the city for a few days, and they just repented because he was just obeying orders. He wasn't scared at all, right? And so this kind of shows like a crazy amount of pride, which is like, you're not disobeying God because you're scared, which is not right, but it's understandable at least. But he was just disobeying God, even though he spoke to God like regularly. Um, he was already a prophet, right? He ignored God because he wanted his will to be done. And this is like a thing you'll see in the Bible where, Balaam, was a prophet of God, but because of money, right, and fornication, he was willing to overlook God and try to destroy the Israelites. And so basically leaves he left for a hill overlooking Nineveh and he built a small shelter to watch the city. God made a large plant grow over his shelter to give him shade. I'm not really sure if it was a vine or if it was like a gourd plant or if it was a vine with gourds. But so basically Jonah gets happy because, he's protected by the shade. But then God sends a worm and kills the plant. And Jonah gets mad. But then God says, how can you have this sorrow for a plant which you neither brought up nor took care of, but you think nothing of destroying an entire city of 120,000 and much cattle, which you also neither brought up nor, I guess, planted, right? In keeping with the ag metaphor. So, this is how the book leaves off, right? And so, um, yeah, God is telling Jonah, like, you're willing to like just annihilate a city that you haven't cared for at all, but you're upset over like a vegetable going bad because it interferes with your shade. And this is how a lot of people are, right? They're all godly until it's time to be godly. And then when their shade goes away, they get furious. In Isaiah 119, it says, if you are good and obedient, you will eat the good of the land. Right. So we have the gourd on the left. And then in First Corinthians 13:2, it says, even if I have all faith so that I can even move mountains, if I don't have love, I am nothing. Right. So he didn't eat the gourd. Right. And this is kind of a story about how, like, when people think about love, they think about being nice, which is kind of like a neutered version of love. Right. It's the outward appearance without the substance that love actually has. All right. And so that's it. This is just a short sermon. So I want to thank Jesus. And I want to thank anyone who actually listens to this. All right, everyone. God bless. Have a good day.